Yeah, no.
Healing shark.
Don't tell me you wouldn't want a healing shark in your aquarium.
I don't. I really don't want a healing shark in my aquarium.
Oh, well, you kind of just don't like aquariums. Have we ever discussed that?
No, I don't think we've ever discussed my fears.
We don't have to if you don't want to.
No, it's fine. You've already started the conversation. Go ahead. Tell everyone about what I'm afraid of.
Sharks, I guess.
Yeah, alright, thanks.
No, well, I think fish are cool. And
I think fish are cool also.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. Continue.
No. We'll change the subject. We'll change the subject.
No, go ahead. Continue.
Has anyone ever done healing fire? That's a thing, right?
No.
You set someone on fire, but it heals them?
No, that's called cauterizing a wound, and that's not really healing. If anything, that's honestly pretty much the opposite of healing, but people treat it as though it isn't sometimes.
Yeah, lightsabers cauterize a wound when they slice you. That's why no one bleeds in Star Wars.
Star Wars.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. No, okay, real talk. I am afraid of aquariums there. But it's not my fault. When I was a child, I was often left alone in a deep water aquarium. So
That's weird enough. You might want to explain that.
I have an issue with aquariums because sometimes I'm afraid that the glass will break and that I'll drown and be bombarded by the animals within.
Or you'll just drown, yeah.
It's not to say that I don't like aquariums, because I do. I really do like aquariums. But I've been in aquariums before where the glass has been cracked, and that scares the shit out of me. And again, for a long time as a child, there were often occasions where I would be led into a deep water aquarium. and it, when I was a real little kid, used to scare me enough that the fact that I was constantly going into it meant that I had learned to close my eyes and just run through the aquarium because I didn't want to encounter anything in it. It was, my family used to take trips to the ocean once in a while, and because my dad used to live there.
You might want to combine some of your items.
Time, maybe.
You could make some, like, some of them.
Cannot do it with red vipers before you have a chance to say it.
Yeah, I know, but do we only have visuals and cycles? Because I don't think those.
There's one.
Is it Psycho-Venomal? Is that one of the combos?
I don't remember.
Try it.
I'm kind of in the middle of doing a thing right now anyway.
Okay.
Just give me a minute. But yeah, no, if I ever wanted to feed seals, which I liked doing and I enjoyed doing, this particular place that we used to stay used to be right next door to a bait shop that had live seals living in tanks behind it. Which, in retrospect, may have been very illegal. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
It was like a building that was roughly the size of a house that had what appeared to just be like slightly below ground bathtubs with water and seals in them. And you could walk into the bait shop and pay like $5 and they'd give you a little bag of fish.
What the fuck?
An alarm.
Oh.
It alerts all the enemies around. But they give you a little bag of fish, and then you could go out and toss them to the seals, and the seals would bark and do seal things for you. And I used to be like, oh yeah, no, I love that idea because I like seals. Feeding seals is fun. And then if you did that, the exit, because you couldn't go back out through the entrance, the exit was that you had to go into a deep water aquarium.
Huh. I'd be a little more scared of the seals than the aquarium, personally.
They were low enough that they couldn't get to you or anything.
Yeah,
like
but
that.
there is no such thing as an herbivore seal. They all have those big
they're carnivores. They
yeah,
have
you gotta be careful with them. I don't
Sure.
think I'd be scared of them unless I was really close to them. But if you're feeding them, you're close to them.
Yeah, well, you'd get kind of close to them.
It's like being around a strange dog. You
I
gotta
don't
be
know.
a little cautious, just in case.
Maybe a little bit.
Yeah, like, I'm not afraid of dogs, but if you've got a strange dog, especially a big one, it's like you don't know them, you don't know their owner, you don't know if they're going to be cool with you or not. It's like you're just gonna walk really carefully. But yeah, seals aren't even domestic. They're not really
No,
dogs.
not really.
Controversial opinion, seals aren't actually dogs.
That's not a controversial opinion. That's a
You've
scientific opinion.
You've never heard the assertion that seals are dog mermaids? Or
No.
is that just a Tumblr thing?
That's a stupid thing.
I guess it's a Tumblr thing.
Why would you assume that?
It's not a literal. It's a running.
I'm sure it's a
like
joke.
calling things trash pandas.
I'm
and
sure
stuff.
it's a joke. I'm just saying, no, that's dumb. Don't
Well,
make that
anyways,
assertion.
it's the like literal like 6 inches or more of glass between you and the healing sharks is usually sturdy, but the like 2 feet of air between your hand and the hungry seal.
Yeah, I don't know. Something about that didn't bother me.
It's just I don't know. I think I'd be wary. I like aquariums. I shouldn't be held responsible for them because I'm bad with them. Like fish tanks. It's just like it's best that I don't.
Well, I'm okay if it's a small aquarium.
Yeah,
I don't have any
no.
problem
You mean
with
like you
that.
don't want to be around the big ones? But it's like when
Yeah, I
I'm
don't
around
like
the
the
big
big
ones, it's like,
life-sized aquariums.
oh, this is cool. I want to live here and just hang out with the sharks and the dolphins. It's like I love that.
Okay, real talk. Dolphins are way more scary than seals are.
Yeah, because
Dolphins
they
are
premeditate
awful
their murders.
animals.
They are, but they aren't. They're like people. People have all the capacity for evil, and they don't necessarily
Well, yeah, guess
do
what?
it.
People are also awful animals.
Oh, yeah, but I'm just saying, like, if I can manage life around humans, I could probably, like, not be harmed by a dolphin. Just statistically, it's less likely
guess.
than... Like, it's like being on a public bus. You could get, like, shivved, or you could just have an uncomfortable conversation with a stranger, or you could just have nothing happen. You know, you see some dolphins, they could tear you apart limb from limb, or they could just be cool, or they could just swim away from you. You don't know. You don't know them.
I'm just
And
saying.
also, some dolphins are adorable. Have you ever seen a Commerson's dolphin? They're like little pandas.
Just saying, they're all dolphins, man.
Yeah. I think they're less likely to harm you than a shark, because the shark bit works basically just on instinct, and if you're just doing some wrong move that confuses them, they might, like, lash out.
No, actually, I'm pretty sure that it's been more than a few times discovered that most sharks...
I mean, you can bop them on the nose, not punch them even, but just kind of put your hand on them and they
intentionally
don't.
going after human beings. Young sharks do. Older sharks know better.
Okay. But, like, if a dolphin hurts you, it's because they're doing it on purpose. If a shark does it, it's because they just don't know. So it's like, it feels like that would make it more likely.
Because young sharks will go after people. Older sharks know better because people taste awful and there's no nutrition whatsoever.
Seals and sea lions do occasionally harm people if you get too close, right?
Yes.
Because they're big. Their teeth are big.
When I was like 8 years old, I went swimming with seals too.
Oh, I did that once, but it was a baby seal. I think it was illegal to get that close to it, but I was also a baby, so I didn't know.
Yeah, well, it was like I went to the beach with my mom and my cousins and a bunch of other people, and me and my cousin were like, let's go swim out into the deep water. And we were like, yeah, okay. And we swam like 30, 40 feet out from the beach. And we were out there, and there were just tons of seals. And we were like, oh, let's just swim with the seals. This is cool. We were like 8 years old. And my mom's sitting on the shoreline just screaming at me over and over again. And we came back in, and she's like, what the hell were you two doing? And we're like, we were swimming with the seals. And she's like, yeah, I saw that. Did you see the sharks out there? And we were like, what?
The seals and the sharks just sort of ignoring each other?
No, the sharks were out there hunting, and the
Oh.
seals were keeping the fuck out of the water. They were all on like a bunch of floating stuff that was sitting out there.
Okay.
And we
so
were
you
like,
could have easily been mistaken for a seal.
yeah, really, really easily.
Okay. Yeah, that's some bad shit.
Yeah. That dark water aquarium, by the way, does not exist anymore, to my knowledge. I think I have gone back to that area since that happened. Deepwater aquarium. But the aquarium went through a handful of owner changes, and it went from a deepwater aquarium to just a normal aquarium. So it is completely normal now, and it's like just kind of a
Okay.
boring aquarium, to be honest.
Do penguins ever hurt people?
I don't know if penguins are capable of hurting people.
Oh, they can probably peck at you, but they're usually too small to really cause, like, harm.
If they bite you, I'm sure it would hurt. But outside of that, I don't think that penguins ever bite people.
And are
I don't know
penguins
why
just,
they
like,
would.
smart enough and sociable enough that they won't try to hurt you? And I might just be thinking that because they're cute.
They might be smart enough because you're so much larger than they are. I'd be willing
Because
to believe
they don't
that.
want to pick a fight?
Because they don't want to pick a fight with something that's like 10 times their size. Yeah.
Well, not all penguins are tiny, though.
A lot of them are fairly small. You think about like emperor penguins and you're like, oh man, they're so
like
fucking
4.5
big.
feet tall,
No, they're
right?
not. They're like 3 feet tall.
Really?
Yeah, emperor penguins are real tall compared to other penguins, but they're not that tall compared to people.
Are you Alright.
Yeah, if you want to get into like the really tall penguins, we're talking the extinct species, which
Oh,
ran
yeah,
between
yeah, no,
like
those could
4
be
and
like...
6.
Yeah. But no,
But
like...
still, like a giant penguin is still like 6 feet tall.
I'll bet, like, if you tried getting near them when they're holding an egg or something, they will, like, try to be aggressive
Well,
to get
they try to
rid of
protect
you.
the egg. They might be aggressive, or they might just sit there and try and protect the egg as best they can.
Yeah, but, like, if they're just not particularly hungry or anything, and you're not showing aggressive body language, I think they'll just sort of, like, let you do whatever.
I don't
just sort
think
of
they'd
sit
let
there.
you. I don't know if they'd even go after you if they were hungry. I don't know why the fuck they'd do that.
No, I mean, like, they're not aggravated or anything.
I
They don't
know.
think you're
Would they just let
encroaching
you
their
do stuff?
territory.
Maybe. I know they do fight, but they fight each other more than anything.
What does a penguin fight look like?
Very messy and very bloody.
Ugh.
They are real intense when they fight each other.
Okay, on a scale of kittens to giraffes, how bad?
Giraffe.
Ugh.
Possibly farther.
How do you get
It
farther
gets-
than giraffe?
I think penguins excel at biting each other's throats out.
Wow.
They get way more intense than people would assume.
So, in theory, they could kill a human.
No, they couldn't kill a
They could
human
tear
because
your throat
they're
out.
still too small. Penguin throats are way different.
Look, if you can reach a throat to tear it out.
Also, it literally is, that I am aware of, it has to basically be life and death for a penguin to even think to do that, which is why they fight each other, but they almost exclusively fight each other to the death over stolen mates.
Okay.
Because
Can you even steal? Okay,
yes,
so different
you can
penguins,
steal a mate.
Different penguins have different mating practices, so I get that, like, sometimes maybe you can cuck a penguin.
Yeah, it happens.
Okay.
It's totally within
Like, sometimes
the realm of
it's
possibility.
entirely just the female's choice, but I'm thinking of, like, emperors do the singing thing, and what is it, the Adelis do the rock thing.
Even within that particular system, you can still totally steal another male's mate. If you show yourself off as being big enough, and you can flaunt it hard enough, and you can beat him up and prove it, then the female will just go, oh, fuck it, and then, like, completely leave the other male. It's a thing. It totally happens.
So we've never discussed Grape Coon on Mike, have we?
I guess not. Did you want to talk about Grape?
He passed away a few weeks ago. For those who
I think
didn't
it was
know,
much longer than that.
no, it was fairly recently.
All right.
Anyways, Grape Coon was a penguin. He was a Humboldt penguin.
I
In
believe so.
a zoo in Japan that had a partnership going on with an anime, and it was like an anime about zoo animals. So they put a cardboard standee of like a chibi
I'm sure everybody's
Humboldt
heard
penguin
this.
Gajinka in there. If you haven't, look up Grape Coon. He fell in love with a cardboard cutout of an anime girl, and it was a beautiful relationship. And he was kind of an older penguin. I think he died from just being sick or something.
Yeah, I think he died of natural causes.
Yeah,
I don't
it
think
was
it's like he
just
died of
kinda
a
old.
broken heart because they took the standee.
No, they
away.
didn't take it away. They left it for him.
Well, they left it for him, but for a while they did actually separate him from the standee and put him behind a fence because
I think it was because there was
he
like
wasn't
a storm
eating properly, and there
coming
was
or
like a
something.
storm coming and a bunch of other things.
Yeah, like they'll put him
he-
away if they want him to not sit there all night and look at the cardboard.
Yeah, because he
standee.
was spending an inordinate amount of time in that part of the enclosure.
Well, it was his waifu.
He was refusing to eat, and when he did eat, he'd try to offer it food before he himself would eat.
Yeah, but waifus are forever, so she
I
didn't
guess.
need food.
By the way, when he died, there were a lot of people who left stuff at the memorial outside of his zoo enclosure. One of the things left was apparently a large poster that was made by the person who designed that character.
Aww.
And it was a picture of that character and Grape Coon together.
Aw, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was super cute.
He got to meet her voice actor, but he wouldn't be able to recognize her.
No, he wouldn't know.
I don't know if they ever bothered showing him the anime, because, like, how would he care? He's a penguin. So he wouldn't recognize her voice, but she got to, like, take a picture of herself holding him. He was just wiggling, like, what is happening? Put me down.
Yeah, penguins aren't known for watching television.
I don't know if we can rule that out completely, but they probably didn't give it to him.
I think a lot of animals have weird concepts of like, some animals do sort of get TV, but it's not enough to really call it like
like cats and dogs
concept.
will like kind of pap at the TV screen if like a cat or a dog is on the TV.
Even if it's an older cat or a dog and they kind of get it, they'll watch it, but it's not actually watching it. It's just, I feel like it's the same way watching a TV that you'd get like a baby watching a TV, where it's like the baby's watching moving colors and sound.
Well,
and
the baby eventually learns what those colors and sounds mean.
Yeah. The other animals
cat or
don't.
dog probably only gets like how their name sounds and maybe a couple commands.
I think dogs know something like there's a potential for vocabulary that dogs have, and I think it's not very high.
Yeah, no, it's like they'll know their name and they'll know things like yes, no, good boy, sit. They might understand the names of the people around them.
You also have to be careful because if you speak a different language around a dog or adopt a dog from a household where they spoke a different language, the dog's vocabulary might not be good enough for you, so to speak. Like if you tell them to go to bed, but they come from like a French house and they don't know what the word bed in English means, they're going to be really confused and just look at you.
Yeah, that's fair.
And sometimes you can get a dog at a young enough age that you can teach it both languages. And I swear to God, every instance of this that I have ever seen, the dog has chosen to ignore its master on certain circumstances, like unless they speak the other language. Like, and I don't mean that as like, oh, the dog's like literally just doesn't understand. It's like, no. I've known dogs in the past that speak, that understand the concept of like Spanish and English, like just for vocabulary wise. And then they like choose not to hear certain words when you're saying them unless you say them in the other language, despite earlier in the day understanding the word. Yeah. You know for a fact that they know both, but they'll pretend like they don't if they don't like what you're saying.
So you need to say it to them both ways, and it's kind of like using someone's middle name when you scold them. It's like they know you're serious.
Because they're like, oh, fine. Like it's some kind of joke or something.
I'm convinced that cats can understand way more than they let on. They just ignore us so we can't tell. I don't think they're like parrot levels of understanding, but I bet they know.
Parrots don't really understand that well. People like to pretend like they do. But
we're talking like parrots are at the 2-year-old level, supposedly. Depends on the species, but like they're pretty good. Cats, like you can't tell because they just don't want you to know.
I don't even know if I honestly believe that. Although I know for a fact that cats do know a lot more than they tend to let on, because cats are
they're sneaky.
They're sneaky, but oh god. Damn. They excel at mimicry, is what I was going to say. Cats are one of the weird animals where it's like, you think of a cat and you go, cats say meow, and it's like, actually, cats don't say meow.
No, only humans say meow.
Yeah, they say meow at humans, but if they're talking to each other, then they don't make that noise. And in fact, if you can get, like, sometimes people will take videos of cats doing weird shit, quote unquote, when they're not home, that's the cat's normal behavior, and it just doesn't do that when you're around.
Yeah, the cats walk different around us than they do around other things. They give us an impression of themselves that they don't necessarily give to other cats or to other animals. Like, haven't there been, like, people have, like sort of taken video of their cats trying to communicate with their dogs, and
cats
they
can
do
bark,
like a bark
and growl. Cats can whistle like birds too.
Yeah.
which is really weird. And meow, or rather that noise, is just kind of the closest that they can get to human speech, because they think that we'll respond if they're talking like we are. And it's
And
like,
we do.
kind of true. That we do respond, in turn. That is a
They
thing.
say meow and we respond with, I love you, you're such a good kitty.
Or we'll talk to them about it, or something like that. It's like, I guess I better just keep making this noise, because the food machine likes it. It's like, yeah, all right.
Yeah. Yeah, and I relate to that. They don't let everyone know everything because that gives them power when they're controlling the stream of information.
No,
I understand.
That's too far, though.
No, I think that's about right. Like if they let you see everything, there's no surprise. They don't have any kind of edge over you when it comes down to it.
All right, I don't think that they need an edge over us.
No,
God
but what if they
damn
do
it,
someday in the
fucking
future?
Pepperbox.
What if someday in the future they just need in a crisis
Her
that
accuracy
extra
is
edge
so
over us?
bad. It's so fucking terrible.
I don't know what to say.
I'm literally relying on Mag using up like 80 FP in this fight against a bunch of low-level spiders to kill them.
Mag doesn't seem to care. Walking
No,
away
and I'm
without
not even
looking
going to be able to kill them all. Because Linear's paralyzed, and Pepperbox can't hit shit. Why is her accuracy so bad?
It could be equipment or something.
I don't know.
Also, she's got like a visor over her face at all time, and it's red, and the spiders are red. She can't see them.
Oh, that's also terrible. We had the Linear is paralyzed no more thing come up, and she still doesn't get the turn that turn. I think that's something
It's
that
the
Pokemon used to
recovery,
do,
yeah.
and they don't do it anymore.
Yeah, it's recovery is a turn.
Yeah,
I
wasn't
guess.
that just that was like, I don't know, like Generation 1 for Pokemon only?
I don't remember.
Was it Gen 1 and Gen 2
I
and then
just
they reversed it? Or?
I don't remember. Sorry.
I swear to
I
God
think
they don't do that
Rap might have
anymore,
worked the same way. I remember Rap being
God.
super
There's-
annoying in first gen.
There is a weird level of like garbage in first gen where it's like things work improperly and it's really obvious that they're not working
Well,
right.
that's kind of goes back to, like, I said much earlier, like, if there was no base of users giving feedback and having a community that discusses the things, because it was the first of its genre, really.
It had nothing to do with that. It was more like they just didn't think that it mattered, and at the time it kind of didn't. And then for some of the things, it was literally just mistakes. They just kept making mistakes. Like in first gen, the attack focus energy, which is supposed to boost your critical hit attack, actually cuts your critical hit chances in half.
Oh, wow.
It's like...
That's great.
Yeah, no, it's just literally, sometimes we just fucked up, and it's like, oh,
Well, it was
thanks.
the first game in its series and one of the first games in its entire genre, so I forgive it for some of that, and the format it was in, where the memory restrictions on the Game Boy cartridges was so low, it's like... There was a lot of roughness to it, but it's fascinating the choices they made and the mistakes they left behind and stuff. It's like, it's all just part of the package.
I also don't like that for some strange reason Pokemon decided to keep some of those. I like it because it feels very consistent, but I don't like it because some of them are really messed up choices.
Oh, like the Nidoran thing?
Yeah, like Nidoqueen and Nidorina can't breed. And then Azurill, when it evolves, has a 25% chance of changing gender.
Well, that could just be a biology thing. They're like clownfish.
No, it's a mistake, and it's really obvious when you look at the coding.
Yeah, but
It's
they've
'cause-
kept it. It's like, hey, they're like clownfish.
It's because somebody looked at Meryl, which has a 50-50 like gender ratio, and looked at Azurill, which has a 50-50 gender ratio, and then looked at Azumarill.
I think you got that
Or
backwards.
sorry. Looked at what Azurill then? I
Azurill
guess.
is
Yeah,
the baby.
The baby. Looked at Azurill and said, okay, this thing's cute as fuck, so it's got 75% female and 25% male. Like, because remember, Azurill came out, what was it, like 2 generations after
No, it was
Meryl
one
did.
generation after.
Was it? Was
Yeah.
it 3rd gen?
Yeah.
I thought it was 4th gen. Okay.
Pretty sure it was 3rd gen. I want to say it's one of the first ones to have to use an incense.
Yes, it was
Pretty
incense, so
sure.
I guess that would be 3rd. Yeah.
3rd gen had a lot of incenses.
Yeah, they just like the idea.
Yeah, it was there with like Why Not, and I want to say Munchlax was 4th gen.
Munchlax was indeed 4th, I'm
Okay.
pretty sure. Yeah,
there used to
alongside
be
Bonsly. Bonsly was also fourth.
There was a point in time where we would have known all of this off the top of our heads like encyclopedias, but we're old now.
Well,
Parts of my brain have been like taken over by other monster games.
also, it's something that is like interesting to say of Game Freak when it comes to that, is that they never make it so that a Pokemon would have been able to evolve via the means that it evolves in previous generations.
Yeah, they always have to add a new requirement.
Yeah, so
otherwise
like
you'd have
Incense
a
is a good example of that.
Yeah, Incense, things like move evolutions.
Yeah, move evolutions. It's literally in a game where the only way it could possibly learn this move is via tutor or like TM.
Or
something
they just
like that.
didn't learn it in the previous
Oh, no,
generations.
it's never just that. It's almost always...
Okay.
Like, with some of them it is kind of just that, but like, it's not always just that. It's usually it has to be tutored. Or something along those lines. Like, Lickitung into Licky Licky and Yanma into Yanmega are a very good example of that. Where both of them, I think they do actually learn the attacks that they need to evolve. And they didn't learn them in previous generations. But then you get occasionally things where it's like they literally have to move tutor it in. I think people have pointed out in the past, though, that Yanma can learn, what is it? Prehistoric...
I want to say it was extreme speed, but I could be
No,
wrong.
no, it's not extreme speed.
Okay.
It's the ancient power. There we go.
Oh, okay.
Because it's turning into a prehistoric...
extreme speed just might be one of the things it learns as Yanmega.
Yeah,
I don't remember.
yeah, I think so. But yeah, no, ancient power. You can get it on it via like a move tutor in Gale of Darkness or something like that.
Okay, that's kind of
which is cheating.
That's
fine,
unnecessary. Like going into the GameCube games, it's like no one expects you to do that. No one would have thought of that. Like no one remembers those things even exist.
Those games aren't official either. People forget that all of those.
It's amazing that they still connected.
All of those stadium style games are made by completely different companies.
And yet they still interact with the data of the main games
I know.
to a point that's
it's
really
weird,
impressive.
Right? Like,
just that they put that much into it.
I don't even think that they ask Game Freak for permission half the time.
Well, they got Nintendo's permission.
Yeah, but like no, I don't mean to make the games. I mean for some of the choices that they make in the games. Like the thing where one of the things that they did was they gave out what is it? I want to say Gligar, like the pre-evolution.
Huh.
They gave out one of the XD games gives out Gligars that know Earthquake in a generation where Gligar couldn't learn Earthquake.
Yeah, I mean, it is a ground type. It's easy to forget that.
Yeah, but for like years and years, that was the only way to get an Earthquake Gligar, and people were like, this is fucked up, because there were people going into tournaments with Earthquake Gligar who clearly didn't get it out of Gale of Darkness.
And you can tell because, like, the ID or the
Well,
ball
you can tell because there's no reason for you to ever do that.
I could believe that
also
there's people out there who do.
Those are gift Pokemon, and the move, if I remember correctly, couldn't be bred down or something like that. So the only way to get it would be for it to be actual Gale of Darkness Gligar.
Yeah. So, like, there's people out there who potentially do have the game and a third-gen game to connect it to with the cord you bought separately, and then they trade it up through 4th, and then 5th, and then 6th, and 7th. But it's a very slim demographic
it is
there.
slim enough for some of the arguments that people make for... I think we've had this argument before, but I'm just going to continue to have this argument for the rest of my life anyway, so I'm just going to keep saying it. There are people who make that argument, and they're like, well, I just, I traded this up from Gale of Darkness or whatever because there's only one way to get this particular Pokemon with all of these attacks and all this other stuff. And it's like, half the time it's numerically impossible because of how absolutely difficult it would be for you to like win the numbers over to get it to work.
Yeah, with the IVs and the natures and stuff, you're not going to get that one.
If you're looking at IVs and natures, yeah. Because you get things like, there was one of the guys who won I think it was like the World Tournament of Pokemon one year, won it exclusively because of a Magmar that he got that had an attack that Magmar can only learn in Gale of Darkness. And in order to get it, you'd have to set it through like 3 layers of this Pokemon's stats change. And there's no way to check IVs and EVs in that game unless it gets traded up. And it's just like 1,000 different problems. And it's just like, oh god.
And,
like,
and it was a Magmar, not a Magmortar.
not as far as I recall.
Like, is a
believe it
Magmar
was
a better
Magmar, yes.
choice in that situation?
Only sometimes.
Okay.
I think for the particular attack that he had on it, I don't remember what it was, but I want to say it was like Baton Pass or something like that. It probably didn't matter, but it mattered enough. It was very obvious that the thing was cheated in.
Okay.
Because it had perfect IVs on top of that. It's like, that doesn't happen. That's numerically... It's not even like a 1 to 1,000 million chance. It's like a 1 to a there's no chance at all. It's basically impossible. And the guy still had it. And that was his argument was, well, it's basically impossible. It's not technically impossible. So therefore you can't prove I didn't do it. And everybody was like, well, fuck, he's right. But in all fairness, he probably should have had his win taken from him for doing that, because he was clearly cheating.
Yeah, it's I don't know. Everything I've heard about Pokemon meta sounds like it's just no fun and not worth doing.
More or less. It's really unfortunate that people just suck the fun out of things.
Yeah, it's like, why you gotta cheat in a game meant for children?
Yeah, I don't know.